This video is for anyone who wants to kayak the Zambezi River in low water, which is the popular choice for most people looking to experience this incredible river. It covers the lines from rapids 11 to 21, as well as portage and takeout information. If you're going out there, then make sure to check out my guide for rapids 1 to 10 on my channel, and if you find them useful, please think about subscribing. It helps the channel grow and it's full of other informative videos as well as some cool edits. Number 11 is one of the few rapids that require you to pass by a feature that doesn't just flush out if you get caught. There is a rock island that forms in low water and you can divide the rapid into left and right, with the left side being the only side that is run at these levels. The line starts with a ramp leading into one main wave, which will try to push you left. This pushes directly into the eddy that you want to avoid. It is boily and surgey, and once you're in there you have a real battle to get out. The line most people take is to drive right across this ramp and punch the wave with right momentum. This keeps you away from the eddy on the left, but does lead to a high chance of being spun around or even sunk in the boils after. Luckily, the boils and odd currents on this side all flush downstream, so you might feel totally out of control, but you know you're heading into calmer water. The line I prefer, which results in a cleaner line when done right, is to drive left of the first wave and take a right stroke to push you onto the top of the boily eddy. This move then requires a big left stroke to push you back into the centre after the main wave and keeps your speed to ride out the rest of the rapid. This is a clean line, but any lack of commitment is likely to result in you getting stuck in the left eddy. A swim in this eddy would be very unpleasant, and so if you're in it, you want to be sure you can make it out. It is easily scouted from the left side to help you make your decision, although the portage is much easier on river rides. Be careful while portaging, as the rock there is like Swiss cheese, with siphons and holes everywhere. The portage on the left is slightly safer, but it's a big walk to get somewhere safe to see your launch back in. Number 12 is split into 3 rapids, 12A, 12B and 12C. Directly after rapid 12C is number 13, making this one of the most continuous sections of whitewater on the river. Together they are known as the Three Ugly Sisters and the Mother. 12A is a strange one, with the whole Zambezi River being constricted into a gap just a few meters wide. The line is to stay central, riding past a hole on the top left and another on the right partway down. For a clean line, you want to drive fast towards the left corner of the right side hole, and then keep your speed driving towards the right side of the narrow gap between the rock walls. Due to the crazy level of constriction in this rapid, the water does some very weird things, and I've been pulled under totally upright in my kayak. Driving past the right hole and keeping as much speed as possible allows you to skip past the weird water in this gap. You can then get a short pause before rapid 12B, which is one big wave followed by a fun wave train of medium-sized waves. The cleaner line tends to be on the right of the first wave, and then ride the wave train out until the next slightly calmer gap just above 12C. The top wave on 12B is a fun surf at many levels and can even be paddled onto from an eddy on the left. 12C is a fairly simple wave train and you can read and run it from above. Most people start left into the waves, but there is a fun little booth entry on the right side too. As you go down these waves, all you need to know is that within 100 meters you want to be pushing to the left against some big boils that want you to go right. As you drop into number 13, the Mother, you want to be center or slightly left with left momentum. This sets you up to hit the big waves with much less chance of getting pushed against the rock wall on the right. You'll need to punch a big diagonal feeding the top wave and then be ready for some more surgey waves. The whole rapid flushes downstream, but it is a big set of waves and you'll want to be ready to react to features changing in front of you. It is usually one of people's favourite rapids as the risk to reward ratio is very good. Number 14 has 3 small channels with no move being particularly exciting for the Zambezi's high standards. It is important though to know what is through each gap in the rocks, as there is some very high consequence to ending up in the wrong place. Luckily this is very easy to avoid, as a standard commercial line is to take the furthest left channel, which has some odd currents but no big features, and so it's easy to get down safely. The centre channel drops into the right side of the commercial channel, forming a particularly nasty hole. The reward to running this line is very low and the consequences are very high, with a retentive hole that you can't surf out of. You won't be able to paddle right hard enough to find it if you take the safe left channel, but trying to boof this hole must be done knowing that a mistake is dangerous. In 2017 I was floating towards the 3 options, having only run the safe commercial channel, but knowing that one of the other 2 channels was also good to go. I asked someone which of the other 2 channels was good to run, and he replied, "Don't run the middle channel." I heard, run the middle channel. This led to my worst ever swim, and I learnt a big lesson about communicating with positive instructions and scouting to double check if I'm not sure. If you want to boof, then go over to the far right channel tucked away in the corner. This is a fun 1 meter boof, and while I wouldn't recommend it for people who can't boof, it's a fairly straightforward move for those who can. Just above number 14 to the left is one of the takeouts. This is a popular takeout for people on their first few days while they warm up, or if you know you need a rest day and want to pretend that not going down to Rapid 21 counts. It is also sometimes used as a put-in for paddlers who are nervous or want to build up to running Rapids 1 to 10, the most intense section of the river. From here you can run Rapids 14 to 21 and get a really good taste of the Zambezi without committing to some even bigger rapids. If you're coming in or out of the gorge here, it's a pretty brutal set of steps that just go straight up the gorge, and so at the end of a big day of kayaking, it's also going to test your stamina walking out. Rapid 15 is described well with its name, the washing machine. The line itself is simple, but it is another that cannot be misjudged due to the high consequence that a mistake could lead to. The majority of the rapid is a simple set of waves down a big ramp. There are some diagonals that can be used to push right, with momentum to the right being key to this line. You don't want to go right too early, as you could be rejected by the eddy if you hit it high, and so I like to start quite far left so I can sustain my momentum to the right through the majority of the rapid. The reason you are going right is because at the end you will pass by an unreasonably nasty hole, the washing machine. With toe back stretching back further than I'd like to think about, ending up in the middle at the end is just not an option. It is not a difficult rapid for anyone who is running the rapids from one down, but since the consequences are far higher than most of the river, some people choose to portage on the right, putting in on a nice sandy beach. You'll still have to pass the big hole, but you won't manage to ferry into it by mistake. Number 16 is split into two rapids, 16A and 16B. The lead into 16A is split either side of a ridge of rocks running down the middle of the river. Both sides are good to go, but the right side sets you up better for the rest of the rapid. You want to stay in the middle of the flow and follow the waves. There are a few rocks in this one to watch out for, so just stay away from them and you'll be fine. On the bottom left, just watch out for a hole. 16B is a fun set of waves. You want to be on the river left hand side and just aim for the biggest waves. That's the cleanest line and the most fun. Number 17 is called Double Trouble due to the two large wave holes on the right side. The safe line is to cross from left to right and ride the waves round the side of the two holes, but there is a fun sneak to the left too if you want to try that. Some people like to plug or surf the big holes, but that is very optional and gets more rowdy as the levels drop. The second hole in particular is not very deep, and I try not to mess around too much in there. Everything flushes out and the line to the right is very wide. Number 18 is the biggest rapid in this video and is aptly named Oblivion. A series of big waves can be broken up into before and after the main wave hole, Oblivion. The waves above roughly form two V-shaped tongues leading into the pit of the hole, and the waves after are just big surgey fun. Most people drive left in the entry waves to punch a big diagonal that feeds Oblivion itself, and this usually works, but you will need momentum to get past without being pulled into the middle and getting surfed. There is a rock on the left that could be a potential pin hazard, and so I prefer to go right, using the top diagonal to boost my momentum to the right. Dropping into this diagonal at the top with some right momentum and a big left support stroke enables you to push right of Oblivion with a really fun line. But be careful not to go right too early, as there is an unpleasant hole at the top. This is easily avoided, and if in any doubt, I'd rather get surfed in the big Oblivion hole than the smaller one at the top right. Oblivion will flush you, but as the water gets lower, the ride will be more and more thrashy before that happens. If you get there in medium-low levels, then you might find a huge green wave to ride over with nothing surfing you at all. Once you're past Oblivion, just hold on for the rest of the waves, which carry on for a little while after the main feature. Number 19 is fairly small for Zambezi standards and marks the start of the slightly calmer, more spread out section of whitewater. The rapid itself has one major feature, which is a nice medium-sized surf wave. In medium-low levels it can be quite green and a little bit flushy, but as the water drops it gets more attentive until low water provides a really dynamic wave that can knock you about left to right and test your surfing skills. It's very flushy, so if you go over you'll be out straight away and carry on down some very simple waves. Number 20 is just a fun set of relatively small waves with nothing to worry about. This is often used as a takeout for people on the Zimbabwe side, but for most people who are staying in Zambia, you'll want to carry on down to Rapid 21. Rapid 21 is a particularly boily and strange rapid, although it's not very big, and if you just try to drive your boat straight down the middle, you'll probably come through fine. And if you start roughly in the middle, you'll end up at the end. You're looking for a big sandy beach on the left, which is going to be your takeout if you're staying in Zambia. If you're taking out here at number 21, then expect a much longer walk than you would if you take out at 14. Some people prefer this walk because it's more gradual and zigzags up the side of the gorge with a lot of hairpin bends, but it's still a pretty brutal walk for the end of a big day of kayaking, and you'll be glad for the help of Portage.
Thank you, Peter.
There are a few smaller rapids that I haven't mentioned in this video, particularly in between number 11 and 12 and number 18 and 19. These are all very small rapids, and you'll be able to see the line clearly from the top before you get to them. The small rapids after number 18 are run safely on the left, but there are a couple of creaky lines on the right. Be careful of the gaps in the rocks. Thank you for watching, and please do consider subscribing if you found this video useful. It really helps motivate me to keep making more useful videos for my channel.